Welcome back to Metals, Money, and Markets, week ending June 23rd, 2017. With me, as always, Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist, and from miningclips.com, I'm Rob Goodman. Well, Mickey, as we head into the official first week of summer here, oil continues to be the story here. As far as the metals are concerned, not a whole lot of action here this week.
Yeah, this week, Rob, it's all about black gold, as you alluded to. We'll get into that in about 1 minute here. Gold finished the week at 12.55 for no change. Silver 16.67, no change to the penny. Platinum was up a buck to close at 9.28. This is after these three precious metals tested last month's lows, but they rebounded over the last couple of days. Meanwhile, palladium had quite an interesting week. Closed last night at a two-year high, and it gave all that up this morning, down 30 bucks or so to 8.55 for a 1% loss over the week, and that all happened right at New York Open. Meanwhile, copper had a very nice week, as did all the base metals: copper, zinc, lead, nickel. This comes on the back of very nice European PMI producers manufacturing index numbers, and also the Chinese blue chip stock market at an all-time high this week. So that was very good for the base metals.
Yeah, and copper up that 2.5% back to 262. Moving on to oil, again, we talked about it. We're at 5 weeks in a row here. Oil, a major downturn.
Yeah, it was down almost 4% for the week, closed at 43.09, and that's actually up. It was below 43 bucks yesterday. Not a lot of good news in the oil patch. WTI at a 10-month low. U.S. shale is really the story here. We're up 800,000 barrels a day in the U.S. production since September. Rigs up again. Gasoline refinery runs up 1 million barrels year over year per day. Meanwhile, U.S. gasoline demand has come off significantly. People just aren't getting in their cars and doing 2-week road trips like they did when you and I were kids. Gasoline prices are falling. Meanwhile, I think the real story here has to be back in the Saudi camp. The Saudis are in no man's land with all their social services. Their balance of payment needs $90 oil. Meanwhile, Libya and Algeria are increasing production as terrorism seems to have waned somewhat in those two countries. Qatar is becoming the black sheep of the Arab world. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Saudis, they cannot stand low oil prices for very long. Meanwhile, uranium, not much to say there. Same old, hovers at 20 bucks, actually up 12 cents on the week.
Currency markets, not a whole lot to talk about here either.
No, the dollar was a little stronger this week, closed at 97.27, up 14 cents. Euro was basically flat. It's starting to weaken somewhat at $1.12, and the loonie also was flat at 0.754. So not much going on in currencies this week.
Buttoning up the markets, healthcare probably the big story here, but the NASDAQ is the real hero of the bunch.
Well, the NASDAQ was up as the techs recovered, and that led to all-time highs in both the Dow and the S&P 500 when the Senate healthcare bill came out on Wednesday. Both markets gave up some value over the last couple of days, but that said, the Dow closed just off its all-time high at 21,395 for a 0% gain over the week. S&P 500 finished at 2438 for a 0.3% gain. And as you talked about, NASDAQ, the real hero this week, closed at 62.65, up almost 2%. But those markets all fell off basically as it became really evident that this Senate health care bill will not pass, thanks to our friend, your friend and mine as libertarians. Rand Paul is vehemently opposed to the present bill. It's got to go into some negotiation right now. It's some perturbation of Obamacare, and that's not going to fly with either Senate or House conservatives.
Wrapping up north of the border, venture pretty flat.
Yeah, rerun, no liquidity, no volatility. We continue to see volumes drop. They probably average less than 55 million shares a day. I don't know when the last time we saw numbers that low over a week, but it's been a while. I have to go back and look at the bear market starting in 2011 to figure that out. We'll come back with those numbers next week. Finish at 777, up a point over the week. And as I've alluded to before, this is not going to change, in my opinion, until we get through Labor Day. It's going to be a long summer for the venture exchange.
Well, we'll keep our eye on the wire this weekend, Mickey, and look forward to catching up to you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rob.